A little while back, MCToon got into a debate against Alex Stein on the channel Modern Day Debate. And I'll just say, his opening arguments are certainly ones well worth remembering. I'll let you go see those for yourself here.
And here's round one coming up.
Wow, well, thank you very much, Amy. If you don't know me, I'm MCToon, not MCToon, but people who disrespect me call me MCToon. It's all right. So this is one of the 15,000. There's a very nice archive of scans of the original photographs on Flickr. There's another set of scans from Arizona State University. There's a couple more. I can give references, anybody who's interested in them. I will give on my website, mctoon.net/moon. All of the evidence that I have is right on there, mctoon.net/moon. But this particular image I like a lot because you can see the reflection of the photographer there in the visor. And you can get the super high res multi-megabyte version of it and zoom in all you want and have a good look at that. There is no fourth wall. It is a all the way around 360 degrees of moon right there. There's quite a few actual photographs that include the visors. So look at those. It's pretty nice.
All right. So his first argument for the moon landing is the visor effect, which I will agree qualifies as evidence. However, is it proof that the moon landing actually happened? No. That doesn't disprove the possibility that this was actually a reflection of a film set. Not all film sets are required to have a studio audience with all this clutter and equipment lying around.
Another thing that they have done that is some fantastic evidence for the moon landing is they have done some high-resolution scans of photography of the moon landing sites. This one is Apollo 11, and here's a close-up of it. You can see both the tracks from the rover and the footprints from the astronauts walking around. You can see there kind of a little bit to the right, you can see the actual lander, and then a couple of the different experiments that they left when they took off, including somewhere close to it is the actual rover. Those so that is the main thing that I'd like to point out.
The main thing he would like to point out is this picture of tracks on the moon's surface that NASA claims is an image taken by one of their spacecraft, which we can't verify for ourselves here on Earth. We just have to take NASA's word for it. So here we are questioning, did the moon landing happen? Which is questioning whether or not NASA told the truth. And his main point, we know that NASA told the truth because NASA said so. The
photographic evidence is not just a small amount. It's a gigantic amount.
And there's argument number 3. We have a gigantic amount of photographic evidence. Believing the moon landing actually happened because there are lots of photos is like a little kid believing in Cookie Monster since there are tons of photos of Cookie Monster. It really doesn't matter how many photos or how much video footage you claim has been taken from the moon. If you want to say there are thousands of hours of video footage of astronauts hopping around on the moon, it doesn't matter. There are 4,626 episodes of Sesame Street, and each one is about an hour long. No matter how many episodes are out there, no amount of footage will ever make Cookie Monster more than a puppet. There comes a time for little kids when their eyes are opened and they come to realize that Sesame Street is all pretend. Myself and many others have crossed that bridge concerning the moon landing. If you want to convince us that Cookie Monster is real, you're going to have to do better than, we know Cookie Monster is real because Big Bird said so.
And for all the people's claims of fakery, nobody has ever once actually done any forensic evidence from a forensic expert in photography to look at the images and see, are they real or not? Nobody's ever done that. They just like to say it's fake, but never provide evidence for it.
No one has ever done that. That is a definitive statement that directly rebels against Dr. McLaughlin in her admonition that people should never ever make definitive statements about anything, since she believes science never proves anything. So I applaud you for disagreeing with so-called mainstream science, though I disagree with your particular claim here. Just because you're not aware of anyone who has forensically studied the matter, that doesn't mean no one has. In fact, you are outright wrong here. This guy is a photography expert, and he has directly done what you claim no one has ever done.
I'm here to talk about the film. Did it come from the moon or not? And I'm saying there's problems with how it's represented to us. And as a person with a background in science and physics and photography and a lab processor, I'm saying that film did not come from the moon and was exposed here. Now, I'm saying that as an expert because I was a professional photographer for 20 years, and I shot most of my career with Hasselblad cameras. So I know these cameras inside and out. I know how to load the film in the dark. I know how to operate it, and I even know the sound that the camera makes if there's a problem with the leaf shutter. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of photographers who photographed millions of exposures with Hasselblad cameras. And for those of you very valued professionals, seasoned professionals who are experts in Hasselblads, you'll probably appreciate this a tiny bit more because I'm going to go into a little bit of technical detail explaining why these photographs from the moon probably didn't come from the moon. Now, not only was I a professional photographer who used Hasselblad cameras, I was also sponsored by Hasselblad as a visiting lecturer for Hasselblad University. And I also was the operator of Pictage Incorporated, the largest pro digital film lab in the United States at the time. And so I know a lot about handling of film, how it's processed. I know a lot about film characteristics. And I know a lot about the Ektachrome 160 film that they shot on the moon. And therefore I can talk meaningfully about why the camera probably didn't 100% impossible with the camera that I actually held, the decommissioned moon camera that I held in my hands, absolutely could not have delivered those images. And I'm just saying that those photographs did not come from the moon. They absolutely did not come from the moon. And if they didn't come from the moon, then where did they come from? A film set? I don't know.
For those of you who haven't seen Gary Fong's video, it is excellent. He presents actual proof that the moon landing photos were not taken on the moon, and that NASA lied to everyone. His whole video is about 20 minutes long. And the points he makes are, 1. That camera is not weather sealed, and you can't change a magazine on a camera like that with big, heavy gloves. 2. Removing the dark slide would expose the film. 3. The screwed-on fixed settings would have left the film being ridiculously overexposed. 4. With a non-insulated camera, the temperature on the surface of the moon would have exposed the film, caused the film to melt, ruin the shutter mechanism, and cause the batteries to explode.
Okay, so this guy here writes, nonsense, there is no temperature in space. NASA just said there's 250 degrees temperature, but I do understand what he's saying. Out in the middle of space, in a vacuum, where there is nothing for radiation energy to energize the molecules, to rub them together, to create heat, which is called radiation. It's thermodynamics. So there's 3 ways to heat an object. One is radiation, second one is conduction, and the other one is convection. So conduction would be just touching things together, right? So you touch your hand on a hot plate, and that's conduction. And it's, wow, that's hot, okay? Convection is when there's a liquid around that actually lifts the temperature or transfers the kinetic motion of this excitation energy of rubbing molecules together from one object to the other. So this guy looked up something and said, in space there's no temperature because it's a vacuum. This is correct because there are no molecules to rub together. Bravo, you're so smart. That's not the case here because a camera is an object that has molecules. So when it is exposed to radiation energy, guess what? The camera gets hot.
On NPR, the so-called astronaut Neil Armstrong said it gets really hot on the moon, about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So the astronauts needed water-cooled uniforms to protect themselves from the heat. The camera, however, did not have any kind of water-cooled protection system, which means they should have been toast. And pristine images like this one should have been impossible to see without some kinds of heat damage. Point 5. With a non-insulated camera, lunar X-rays would have exposed the film. And point 6 was that the Van Allen radiation belts not only should have killed the astronauts, but it also should have damaged the film. So your tons of photos that you claim to be evidence that the moon landing actually happened are actually evidence that the moon landing did not happen.
So there you go. Hey, there's me and Charlie Duke. Charlie Duke he was the astronaut for Apollo 16. He travels now all around the world as a full-time evangelist. That's what he does. He is a Christian evangelist, and he fills rooms full of people to talk about God. That's what he does for the last couple decades. So I find it strange, flat earthers and NASA and moon landing deniers somehow try to wrap religion into it. Well, Charlie Duke wraps religion into it, and he uses his status as an astronaut to evangelize. So, all right, there is my presentation. Like I said, MCToon.net/moon has the 4 different citations to the 4 different archives of photographs. So.
And those are the only arguments MCToon brought to this debate.
That's all, folks.
You can watch his full debate on the Modern Day Debate channel. There's a link in this video's description, along with a link to Gary Fong's full video, which is very much worth checking out. Thank you all for watching, everyone. This message has been brought to you by the Flat Earth Institute of Science.